The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 31st and final day of January 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical One Communications and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Tamara McHale will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sherry, happy final day of the first month of the year to you.
I know, Jamal, and same to you, but it's going so fast.
Yeah.
Like February is like, hello, hi. And it's, how are we almost into the second month of the year?
Yeah. Times.
Or we are.
Times. You know what? And because February, is it a leap year this year, by the way? Is it like 29 days or 28? Anybody out there help us out? 28 or 29 days. But February, regardless if it's 28 or 29, is the shortest month. And so time literally flies in February. So before you know it, it's spring and yeah.
And then I'm like, my birthday would be, in June. So I start looking forward. Bless your heart, Jamal.
Oh, I'm sorry. 28. Thank you so much, Ebony. Thank you so much, because I didn't trust Sherry to tell me 28. So look, let us know, folks, real quickly. How do you feel your January went this year? How do you feel the first month of your 2023 went? How do you feel it went? Sherry, how did your first month go?
It's going pretty well. I've used it to kind of relax and just sort out some things instead of going into full gusto of like goals and this. I try to get myself organized to hopefully in the spring emerge into doing some other things. So that's kind of how I've used January, just kind of decompressed,
Okay.
Oh. Yeah. How about yours? Oh, I'm supposed to ask you now. Okay. How about yours?
Me? Little old me. My January was great, Sherry.
Short you.
Asking. Yeah. Oh, really? No, I had a good January. I'm continuing on my got my 50 miles of jogging in. So I had a nice walk this morning. Got 300,000 steps in the entire month. So just got to keep that up, keep going. And
yes, short legs move fast. I heard about that. My coffee is kicking in. I'm really good this morning. That was funny.
Greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Dr. Carika Weldon on to discuss CariGenetics. This is going to be beautiful because I'm really looking forward to, if you remember last year, January, we had Dr. Carika Weldon on, completely different conversation. And now she's doing some big things that I believe will be beneficial for our entire community. The daily play is a remember when. So, yeah. What happened, Sherry?
Okay.
Okay.
If I could remember when.
Oh, okay. Don't forget the show is now available live on our website, thedailyhour.com. So, folks, you no longer need to tune in to us on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. You don't need social media. You can just go to our website. So make sure while you're on our website, you subscribe to our website. Just put your email address in so you can stay up to date with all that we have going on with the Daily Hour. That said, we've got to get into a conversation. But before we do that, I have a joke for you.
I already had one. I already said my joke.
But nobody laughed at you. So,
I believe some people do.
ain't nobody laughed at your joke. Everybody
Uh,
laughed at your joke.
oh, let me show you. I could show you a joke. Up there, that one is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you, Sam Cat Place. Sherry laugh. Oh Lord, 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 Lord,
Karen,
Lord.
thank you so much. Karen Simmons says, Sherry, I am taking offense to the short legs, smack talk. Jamal, how dare she? I mean, some people are just very disrespectful, Aunt Karen. I mean,
On Karen, it has nothing to do with you. This is
yeah,
directed to Jamal.
I'm having a chat with family right now. Ebony Susan says, January felt short, reached a few goals, readjusted out. I love to hear that. Reached a few goals. There you go. Small steps. There you go. No small step joke. Sam Cat Place said during January, we're ready for February to be fabulous. So your new year is starting on February 1st, I gather, Sam Cat Place. That's good to hear. That is good to hear. Let me get my joke, and my joke this morning is courtesy of my nephew Maddox. Yep. If I can. Okay, I thought I forgot my password to get in my phone just now. All right, here we go, folks. Here's your morning joke. Whew, here we go. Why did the boy throw a stick of butter out the window?
A stick of butter out the window. Stick of butter. Butter and window. I don't know.
Because he wanted to see a butterfly. Go on now, Mad Dog. Maddox, that's come from Sanchez Maddox this morning.
Butterfly. Maddox.
Yeah,
You talk to him too often, Jamal.
well, Sancha says, she says, I put a joke in Maddox's bag every day, right? And she said, when she saw this one, she said, "Oh, this is so Jamal." Yeah. That don't worry. That's your laugh for the morning, but we've got some serious stuff to get to, folks. So, question of the morning, we'll get right to it. How can we better protect young people on social media? How can we better protect young people on social media? So, if you've seen the news yesterday, I'm just going to read from CNN.com. U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy says he believes 13 is too young for children to be on social media platforms because although sites allow children of that age to join, kids are still developing their identity. Meta, Twitter, and a host of other social media giants currently allow 13-year-olds to join their platforms. Quote, he says, I personally, based on the data I've seen, believe that 13 is too early. It's a time where it's really important for us to be thoughtful about what's going into how they think about their own self-worth and their relationships, and the skewed and often distorted environment of social media often does a disservice to many of those children, Murthy said on CNN Newsroom. CNN's article goes on to say the number of teenagers on social media has sparked alarm among medical professionals who point to a growing body of research about the harm such platforms can cause adolescents. So goes on to say if parents can band together and say, as a group, we're not going to allow our kids to use social media until 16 or 17 or 18, whatever age they choose, that's a much more effective strategy in making sure your kids don't get exposed to harm early. Teenagers, especially at risk, according to the research, habitually checking social media can alter the brain chemistry of adolescents. So you can check that article out. Just Google social media and it will be the first thing that's coming up. So the question of the morning is, how can we better protect young people on social media? First off, before we even get into our expertise on that, do you all think that there should be an age? Like, do you feel, the question on our Instagram was, what do you think is an appropriate age for children to begin using social media? What are your thoughts on that? What do you think an appropriate age for children is to begin using social media?
To me, it's a little bit difficult because I would look on what the child is like. But if I had to give a blanket statement, 13, 14 is fine with me. Just depending on your child, because every child is different. But it all starts way before that. It starts way before that as far as age is concerned. So if you just, I would say 13, 14.
So you think 13 and 14 is an appropriate age?
Dependent on the child, you know, yeah. But again, Jamal, as I said, in what I need to say about it, it all depends on the child. And I feel like the information that you just provided, it we're far gone from that. These steps, I think, should have been taken years ago before we got to the place where we were when MySpace kicked in, when different platforms came about. We are now in the age of there's so many different social media platforms that how are we are able to pull it back at this point? When we were when television emerged and different monitoring devices came about, they said then babies shouldn't be left in front of a TV just to watch it. It's the same thing in regards to social media. Children shouldn't be exposed to it early where they don't get dependent on having to keep picking up their phone to look at it. The developmental side of it, yes, you have bullying that happens on social media, but if you also don't have a child that has build up confidence about themselves, then social media seems real. Or if you don't have children that know that bullying is wrong, they've found a way to get that out. So there's so many different layers to it, in my opinion. But in my household, it would be some serious guidelines. I'm that parent, if I was one, that would be like Wi-Fi off, parental guidelines, let me see your phone, and so forth. So
What's an appropriate age for young people to begin using social media? That was the question on Instagram, and here's some of the responses we got. We got, well, that's not what we were going to do. We got, I don't know. Okay, when their parents / guardians feel that the child is responsible enough. I think that's a fair response because, as Sherry just said, every child is very different. You've got some children who can read at 2 years old, some children who may not learn to read until they're 8, right? And both of those children could probably end up in the same place by the time they're 25 in a C-suite or a boardroom, right? So I think every situation is different. I do agree with that it should be dependent on not just the individual child, but their environment that they grow up in.
yes.
Another person said 16, right? I don't think all, I honestly, I think I'm going to keep going back to what Sherry said. I don't think all 16-year-olds are created equal. We're all some 16-year-olds are very mature. Again, the environment that we are grow up in, that we live in, determines a lot. Another person said 16 as well. Another person said 15. So again, question of the morning: how can we better protect young people on social media? I think social media, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like, I love the fact that I can stay in contact with people that I went to school with, people I've worked with, haven't lived away from a lot of the people I grew up with that I'm close with, family, friends. I enjoy social media for the ability to connect. I remember back in the day, people would go to school with people and they would lose touch, right? At least if you ever want to know what somebody's up to, or just reach out to them, say happy birthday, you have social media. So there are a lot of positives to social media. The downside of social media for me is we live in a time where people really compare their lives to others based on what they see on social media. I think social media has exposed a lot of insecurities, right? I don't, Sherry, I'm going to say this publicly. I remember you saying to me, I don't look at people's WhatsApp statuses. So let's use that as an example. And Sherry goes, why not, Jamal? I don't care. And this may sound very cold. I genuinely do not look at people's social media pages because I don't care what's happening in your life in that respect. Like, if it's your birthday, I'm gonna reach out to you. If I'm not cool, like close with you or whatnot, I'm just not interested in what's going on in your life like that. That's not being cold, but it's just at the end of the day, if we weren't on social media, I won't be, in your space like that. You know what I'm saying?
So, and And I do. And I'm like, Jamal, you didn't see that? But I also look at WhatsApp statuses as um, a, a something that reminds me to maybe reach out to somebody. I'm like, oh, I haven't spoken to that person in a while. Let me say hello, or let me reach out to them. I
Mm.
use social media for what it is, social media. I don't like people taking it so real and so I could post a picture with me in Bermuda and someone's like, oh, you're him? I was like, no, I'm not.
Mm.
you know? Um, but when you talk about children, they believe it. They believe that somebody has a flat stomach and they have, all of these curvy features about themselves, or that they have flawless skin. They believe it. And I feel the way that we can protect children is to help and guide them to understand that these things aren't necessarily real. But if you have your mom or your dad sitting next to you on their social media platform and you're on the other side and you're like, oh, look at this, mom, look at this, then what do we have going on?
Mhm.
Is it
It's interesting you say that, because you was making me think of something just now as you spoke about it. And I know we had health in when I was in high school, health, and I wonder. I mean, I didn't pay attention in school much when I was young, so I don't know if they taught it, but I wonder if part of health now is mental health, and whether or not there are courses in schools teaching young people about this. Here's the greatest thing I can tell any person, young person, when it comes to social media, especially something like Instagram. Who cares if you don't get 100 likes or 200 likes? You know that $1 million or $1 billion corporation that posted? They only got 1 or 2 likes. Think
it's that
about the income that they're making. Think about the what their existence means in the world. So, folks, I think education is so important and vital in helping young people understand what's real and what's not.
Mhm.
But I also think, maybe teaching them a different aspect of social media. It was a young lady. She was on one of our shows some time back, and she's in the IB sector. She said she doesn't have social media. She's not interested. She's late 20s, early 30s, but she's very big on LinkedIn. Right. And I was like, well, that's social media. Oh, well, the other ones. Right. How can we better protect young people on social media? That's the question. Sean DeShield says, as a parent, I told my kids that using a smartphone to gain access to social media is a privilege and not a right, which can be removed if abused. Sam Cat
Mhm.
Place says, I'm that parent that Sherry talked about. I totally agree with a limit. Mm.
And we need to start shifting our children's mindsets in regards to how to use social media. Didn't we have a young man that reached out on LinkedIn in regards to trying to network with others, to find a mentor? And I think he was a Berkeley student. I can't remember his name, but those are the types of things that you want to navigate your children towards. I understand social media is a money making platform, different platforms, but parents should manage that and ensure that their children are in correct spaces. But social media is also a breeding ground for different abuse that we have to be mindful of. And if you don't have a relationship with your children, not necessarily their friends, but a relationship that teeters between the both, so that you can look at their phones and look at the social media, or that they can have these conversations with you. That's where it needs to start. Same thing with music, Jamal. Children believe a lot of what they hear in lyrics. They believe a lot of what they see in pictures. But we have to be that person that is the bridge between what is real and what isn't. So
Mm.
parents need to get off and of it as well.
What do they believe about music? I mean, I've always heard,
Well,
and I
shooting up people, or
frankly never convinced me of anything.
gangster life, or just different things. People tend to believe that to be the absolute truth, or feel like they should mimic somebody else's life
Mm, mm.
and
I,
their experiences.
it's interesting. I think it does come down to environment. I want to, again, social media is a necessary evil, if, if that's the term. You use the example of the young Berkeley student and LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn, it probably is, but that's something that can be taught in school. You know, just last week, some guy on Facebook, I think I mentioned yesterday, on Twitter, sorry, mentioning that, oh, LinkedIn's just a corporate Facebook. I don't even know what that comment means. I honestly don't. What do you mean it's the corporate Facebook? Like, Facebook and LinkedIn are two completely different things. LinkedIn is literally supposedly all about business, either networking, sales, you know, finding a job. You know, it's not about sharing your drama or like what's going on in your personal life. Facebook's all of, you know, it's about really personal life. It's your, how can I put it? Your soapbox, right? It's your soapbox.
Well, you just explained it. That's exactly what they mean about corporate. It's a corporate social media. It's two differences.
Well, no, he said it's a corporate Facebook. It's not. It's different. It's a different kind of platform. I mean, it's a corporate social media. If he said use that term, maybe, but it's not a corporate Facebook. It's a completely different platform. As is Twitter versus Instagram, right? I think they all have purposes. There was something last week, an article I read that said that, you know, people are getting tired of the new Instagram, like how Instagram just copied what Snapchat was doing, copied what TikTok, and, you know, people now don't even post regularly on there. I'm been tired of Instagram. I just don't like what I've read about how it's impacted young people, but I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary for so many reasons. I follow people who I can learn from. I love creatives. And so that's what I like it for. Like YouTube, I'll go on YouTube and watch a video and learn something. I think it's a necessary platform. It's something we can learn from. So I don't, you know, want to sit here and badmouth social media. Social media has given us the opportunity to do this show, right? It's not bad if it's managed right. I just think that we need to figure out what is it that young people, what is it that we can do for young people, right? To better protect them in this space, in this era. And we haven't even spoken, you know, you mentioned abuses, you know, briefly, Sherry, but we haven't even spoken about the, you know, it's a show called Web of Lies that comes on ID channel, where these
catfish
go on to social media and pretend to be somebody else. So there's a lot to it, folks, a lot to it. But I definitely understand the point of the general surgeon who said that 13 is too young. But I do stand by the comment on Instagram response where, you know, I don't think you could paint everyone with a broad brush. I think every situation is going to be different. Children are going to be different, and the environment's going to be extremely different. I just think it's up to maybe us to educate people on what social media is and can be for us.
And let me just say this: I didn't realize probably until my nephew came around, like how deep YouTube was. Like I feel like people sleep on YouTube because of how the platform is, but YouTube as well has a whole lot going on. It has a lot of positives, but it's a lot of shows on there and different things that it's like, should you be watching that?
Yeah, no, YouTube is it's no different. All right, let's bring Tamara McHale in. We've got the news break time, folks. Stick with us. Dr. Carika Weldon's coming up. We're talking CariGenetics in a bit.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
How are you? How are you?
I am good, doing good. A little bit sleepy. Could have done with some more sleep.
You look very young. Are you old enough to have social media?
Yes, I am.
Okay, just checking.
Not 13 at all.
Okay. Just checking, because we have limits around here. But obviously, you're big on social media. You kind of get out there, put yourself out there. You share a lot of your stories that you're working on, and a lot of the work that you do. Are there concerns about young people in Jamaica or around the region with social media?
There certainly is, because I mean, I love social media, all the different platforms. I think, as you mentioned, the discussion, it can be used for good and bad, but
Mm,
there certainly is, because especially in recent times in Jamaica, we've seen, for example, where they love TikTok. And
mm,
so sometimes they will do these crazy challenges, some things which are also inappropriate, which are more for like adults that, the teenagers are involved in. And some of them are even, I remember once, I think it was last year, there was this challenge based on a song, a
mm,
popular dancehall song that included very sexual innuendos. And the
mm,
children were, they were attempting to do stuff like that,
mm,
not the actual act, but playing it out in skits on social media. So
Mm.
it's very influential. I think social media has taken over traditional media in its influence. And
mm,
so I do believe that there should be some amount of parental control, because
mhm.
it's important. I love it and I use it, but I feel like those who have children, I don't have kids yet, but those who have children, they need to monitor their children.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
And we didn't
Agreed.
even mention the TikTok and the challenges. And I'm going to be honest with you, TikTok's probably the most entertaining to me. I have never seen anything bad on there. That's just me personally. Like every time I don't go on there, so I only see it when people share stuff, and it's
Yeah.
always so entertaining. Like it's. I think TikTok has allowed creativity rather than the obsession with looking good or putting on
Yeah.
something. I think it's the most creative. But I enjoy TikTok. It's fun. But even like you said, like I mean, watching what trends. Like you don't want that stupid stuff. What was it? Tide Pod some years ago, and all this just stuff that's not safe for
Mm.
people. You know.
Exactly, because TikTok is actually my favorite app right now in terms of social media, and YouTube. But
Really?
yeah, it is. I love it over there. As Jamil mentioned, it's not like Instagram where you always have to feel like dolled up, and you
Mhm.
can just. I feel like it can be real and authentic over TikTok.
Mm.
So I
That's what
like
I
that
think I
sense
like
of
about it.
freedom.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I think I like about it. It really seems more original, and it seems it's storytelling. It actually the difference between TikTok and Instagram for me is TikTok requires creativity.
Mm.
That's what
Yep.
I think it is. Instagram requires you to make yourself look a certain way.
I tried one dance challenge and I was like, that's it for me and TikTok. I was like,
That's why you were on crutches. That's why you was on crutches that time.
I
Oh,
have never been on crutches.
okay. Sorry. We don't.
Short man.
All right. Let's get to the news break. Let's get to the news break. What you got for us today?
These two. Okay, good morning again, everyone. I'm Tamara McHale, and this is the Daily Hour News Break for today, January 31, 2023, the last of January, brought to you by the People's Pharmacy. So, in the news today, I know we were laughing, but we start off, unfortunately, with some sad news, as Bermudans would have now known that professional golfer Brian Morris, who realized his ambition of competing on the PGA Tour and inspired people across the world, has died from cancer at the age of 55 years old. Mr. Morris was granted a sponsor's exemption to play in the Butterfield Bermuda Championship at Port Royal Golf Course last year, and he was said to be a head professional at Ocean View Golf Course and won the hearts of the world's golfing community when he played at the championship while battling cancer. And not just cancer, but stage 4 brain cancer. So
Mm.
may
I
he rest in peace.
Yeah, indeed, and definitely love and condolences to his family and all those who loved him. Just last
Yes.
week, Quentin Charlotte paid tribute to him, and he was on. But I want to say this, folks, if you haven't seen the tribute by the PGA on their social media to Brian Morris, go check it out. Goosebumps. It was
Yeah,
an
special.
amazing tribute that they did yesterday to Brian Morris. So if you haven't seen that, go check out their tribute. It was amazing. It was just so much love from the golfing world, including Jack Nicklaus. So check it out.
And can we just have the audience put rare gold and green hearts and send love to his family if they can? I think that would go well with that.
That's lovely. Also in the news, detectives investigating the murder of Janai Outerbridge are renewing their appeal for anyone with information that can help bring the perpetrator or perpetrators to justice. A police spokesperson reminded that 6 years ago, the 31-year-old Mr. Outerbridge was fatally shot around 11:20 p.m. Sunday, the 29th of January 2017, outside the Mid-Atlantic Boat Club on North Shore Road. And residents that can assist are asked to call the Serious Crime Unit to give an update. So anyone with information, the police is asking you to call them or call Crime Stoppers.
Someone somewhere knows something.
Yep. And buses and ferries will be out of action for 2 hours today when a meeting is held for members of the Bermuda Industrial Union. A government spokeswoman said public services will be interrupted from 10:30 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. She added specifically there will be no bus or ferry services during this period. Other delayed services include trash collection, parks, postal delivery, and other services. All disrupted services will reportedly resume following the conclusion of the BIU meeting, and it is understood that the disruptions will extend to soon before and shortly after the meeting to allow members time to get to it.
I ain't got nothing to say. I just find it interesting that still in 2023 they're doing stuff like this. I think, whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Now to some other regional news here in Jamaica. Speaking of bus issues, public transport operators say they remain in a quandary over what lies ahead for them. So starting tomorrow, effective February 1, the new road traffic law takes effect. And in fact, one group, the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, TODS, has indicated that there could be an involuntary strike because many operators will be staying off the roads, not out of spite, but due to fear of being arrested on warrants that have already been issued, as they have not been able to pay their tickets due to clogging of the courts. So they got a good period of time to pay, but they didn't, and so now the place is jam-packed.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in that line.
Madness is that. Sorry.
Yeah, indeed. And moving on to some other regional news, Dutch royals King William Alexander and Queen Maxima and Katerina Amalia, Princess of Orange, have arrived in Aruba for the second leg of their tour to the Dutch Caribbean. The royal family, who came yesterday, have a packed 2 days of activity while on the second most populous Dutch territory. A welcome ceremony was held for them, meetings with political party leaders, members of the public, performances, and they have lots more in store today.
I never heard of them.
I was like, let me go through the royal. No, okay.
Do you know? I think the only royals you probably know of are the British royals, Jamil.
Unfortunately.
All right, and
but
finally,
they have a nice vacation in Aruba.
Yeah,
whatever.
Let me wrap it up. Finally, Hollywood actress and Black Panther star Letitia Wright is in Guyana, where she actually was born, because I know off air I said it's her parents, but she actually was born there. And she has encouraged members of Guyana's National Assembly to come together in peace and love as they seek to empower Guyanese and make the country a better place. The 29-year-old Black Panther starlet made the comment as she addressed the parliamentarians yesterday, and here's a quick clip.
Hello, good afternoon. It wasn't expected of me to speak today. I just wanted to visit the different sectors to know the ways in which I could use my platform for good and encouragement, especially for the young people of Guyana, because I am the daughter of the soil of Guyana. So my return means a lot to me.
Was she raised in the UK? She sounded a little UK-ish, no?
She does actually sound UK-ish for real.
Yeah.
I need to check that. Can anybody in the comment section clarify?
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
I heard UK there. Yeah.
But I know we had some Bermudian influence on our stylist. Shiana Tarini styled her.
Yeah.
Or it does style her.
We'll run out of time, but what's the weather looking like for tomorrow?
Okay, so in the weather in Bermuda this morning, mostly cloudy, rain or shower this afternoon. And there are going to be some sunny periods, but there's still going to be a chance of shower as well in the afternoon. And here in Jamaica, isolated showers across north, central, and eastern parishes, partly cloudy otherwise. But in Kingston, Jamaica, it continues to be sunny.
She doesn't have Sancha her to be like, are we sure?
Yeah. I don't know when it's not going to be sunny. It's still sunny.
You got it. Yes, looks like she was raised in the UK, according to
Well,
Dr.
it was the UK. So thank
Yeah.
you for that clarification.
Yeah. No problem. Sherry, what you got days of the year for us?
Inspire your heart with Art Day. Sounds straightforward enough, but go to a gallery or theater, cinema or music venue and soak up the art. Art can touch our souls and make a lasting impact. Whether it's a piece of music or a painting, it can broaden our horizons and inspire us in so many ways. Remember the instruction, inspire your heart with art.
Oh, okay. Inspire your heart with art, folks. Tamara, go inspire your heart with art. Okay, Tamara?
I will, and you two are the best. I just love the love.
Ain't no
the
love
heart.
here.
The heart.
It ain't no love. Anyway, see? Have a wonderful day. Tamara Mikhail, folks. All right, folks, we've got Dr. Carika Weldon coming up after this break. Don't go anywhere. Love that Sherry, please.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandytown Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
All righty, welcome back to the big show. Sherry Vanderpool, I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, if you don't know, now you should. What was that?
I was on it. If you don't know, now you.
I'm just saying, you and Sancho's come up short lately. I don't know.
You didn't say it to Sancho yesterday. I did notice that.
I did, didn't I?
Nope.
Well, I must have said last week. I can't keep up. No, Sancho was having a rough day yesterday, so I might.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. But folks, you can check out the Daily Hour on our website, thedailyhour.com. You can tune in to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show live. You no longer need social media, Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. However, if you want to engage, you have to tune in there. Are you all ready for Dr. Carika Weldon? We're ready to discuss CariGenetics. You ready, Carrie? You ready? Dr. Weldon's not ready. Once she's ready, we'll do it. All right, she's ready. The beautiful doc, my girl. Hold on. Real quickly. I'm just a little back.
Oh, Lord.
We is hanging out cup match. I'm just gonna make sure we is on the same team. I think we won the same team. All right, let's give our warm welcome. I'm thinking we is on the same team. All right. Dr. Carika Weldon, folks. Doc, you're St. George's, right, Doc?
From St. George's, yeah. And let me just clarify for this. He'd be like, no, why Dr. Weldon for St. George's? My father is Allington Weldon. He came from St. George's. He played for St. George's.
Yep.
What else can I do? What else can I do? I'm a daddy's girl.
Well, and you're brainwashed, and it's okay. We still love you here. We still love you here, but you get this.
What I
These
will
are
say,
wickets.
what I will say, Doctor, I first off, let me apologize for the behavior of my colleague. Some people don't know any better, especially when they were red and blue during the summer. They just don't know any better. But one of my resolutions was not to entertain such behavior.
Okay.
My only resolution. But no, we haven't seen you like since last year, January, and you were, transitioning back then. And I mean, crazy. I mean, I think that was almost show last year, to be honest, when you came on last January, and so much has gone on for you since then. And so before we get into CariGenetics, just I mean, weren't you named Woman of the Year last year?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it's a lot that's happened. Actually, it didn't even hit me. This is obviously the day I finished working my previous job a year ago. So it's definitely been a long journey. But yeah, I was named International Woman of the Year for Bermuda of 2022. So I will be there this year to hand over my award to the 2023 awardee. Yeah.
Congratulations on that. And
thank you.
I think people were so caught up in COVID, and we actually determined whether we liked people or not based on how they felt about COVID, which is just to me, right?
Crazy.
And I just want to say this publicly to you that for such a young person, you took a risk, right? You took a risk. Personal life and relationships, friendships. I'm sure you probably had some friendships that ended, but I am grateful for you, because people like you, whether we agree with you or not, right? People like you we don't see them come through often. And so whether people agree or not, I think you set an example of, you know what? Hey, somebody's got to do it. I believe I can, and let me go do it. And so with that said, you've since started CariGenetics. Just explain to the audience what it is.
Okay. And I want to say, before I get into that, the reason why I was so quick to jump and say, let me answer the call, is because I wouldn't be Dr. Weldon if it hadn't been for the Bermuda scholarships that I got. So I felt like, you know what, Bermuda invested in me. This is my time to give that return on investment, and that's really was the crux of why I did what I did. And on that same wavelength, okay, I did what I did during the pandemic, but can't be a one-hit wonder. I'm not trying to, we're not trying to just come and then reminisce, oh yes, remember 10 years ago when we did that. No. In Bermuda, we set a standard globally for testing. And for me, I was proud as a scientist that we were able to do that. And so my kind of journey since then has been, how do we build on that foundation? And so that's where CariGenetics comes from. CariGenetics is actually short for Caribbean genetics. And really, it's been birthed from 2017, to be honest. It's been a vision of mine to bring the research I was doing in England back to Bermuda. And most of the time from 2017 to about 2020, and I was working on it, it was always just Bermuda, because obviously that's where I'm from. What really transpired during my time in the pandemic and working on that was I was now, officially the science advisor for Bermuda's Premier, and had to interact officially with others from the Caribbean on what we was doing for the pandemic. And that's when I started to see that actually the same challenges and shortfalls that we have in Bermuda when it comes to science is throughout the whole region. So my shift in my focus went from just Bermuda to actually, let's try to help the entire Caribbean, because we're all in the same boat. And I know there's a bit of a debate. I'm going to throw it out there to the audience. Like, how many of you are like, we're not Caribbean, we're Bermudian. That's a thing. We're going to have to deal with that. But, geographically, no, we're not in the Caribbean Sea. We're in the Sargasso Sea. But everything else about us, from our ancestry to our culture to everything, is Caribbean. So that's really where it came from. yeah, and as for me, it feels like this was the big moment that everything has led to. I can't say that anything that I've done leading up to this point has not been preparing me for this. So it feels like this is where I have to be.
And I think you kind of did just explain, but just go a bit deeper why this work is so necessary.
I'm happy you asked. And I have a bit of a slide to show to actually get this point across. So all of the pharmaceutical drugs that are designed and on the market are based on data of people that have been tested. Their genetics have been tested. Drugs are designed specifically to target certain parts of your body, and those different parts of your body are encoded in our DNA. Now, it would be perfect if the database reflected the same dynamic or same proportions of different ethnicities in the world, but that's not the case. So at the moment, the database is 87% approximately European. Now, there's only 15% of the world that is European. So you can already see it's skewed. It's very skewed. So basically, drugs that we're taking at the minute are all designed for Europeans. And everyone else, we're just kind of getting the crumbs of it all. And I can give you a very, very clear example. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see. There we go. Okay, seems like it's not working. I'll just talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a high blood pressure drug that is prescribed in Bermuda. Has anyone heard of Micardis? It's Micardis. It's prescribed for high blood pressure. In the package insert, and I'm looking at it right now and I'm going to read it out. In the cautions, it says this drug may not work as well in Black patients.
Wow.
And guess who's taking it? Black
Black
patients.
patients. Interesting.
So it's like, how do we fix this? You know, we have, unfortunately, we're not really involved in genetics. We've kind of like, as a people, and not just Black people, it's really all non-Europeans. We're just not in the equation. In contributing our genetics to science, but there's a reason, because we've been misused, we've been mistreated, we've been abused. Really, you know, the whole Henrietta Lacks story, which Oprah had a movie in I think 2017 that made that more popular, where an African American woman went to Johns Hopkins for cervical cancer, had a biopsy, and the scientists took her cells, which were found to never die, and started selling them without her consent.
Wow.
And that started the entire biomedical science industry, to the point where when I did my PhD, I was using them. I was buying them. I didn't even know what they were. They were just called HeLa cells, but they were short for Henrietta Lacks. So, you know, we these things have happened to us, and that's just one example. There's actually a instance where there was an outbreak in Nigeria of a certain disease, and one of the pharmaceutical companies saw that as an opportunity. Now you had, you know, your NGOs going down there trying to help maintain the situation. They also showed up, and this wasn't long ago. This was in 1998. They show up and they start doing a phase 3 clinical trial on these people in the midst of a crisis who don't speak English.
So it would be true when people, some call them conspiracy theorists, say that a lot of medications they test on vulnerable groups.
It's happened. Yep.
Yeah.
And that example I just spoke about was a company that just showed up, started testing on people. They hadn't given informed consent. They didn't even speak English. And they were taken in a lawsuit in 2009 and had to pay out billions of dollars. This is a real thing that's happening. So,
Wow.
it's we're mistreated all around. And so we have to make sure that we are correcting it. But the only way we can correct it is if we are empowered to do it. We can't have some parachuting scientists come in and say, oh, we're going to help you, we're going to be the saviors, because we don't trust them.
Well,
oh goodness.
It is, and that's great. Your reach is focused on genome. Am I saying it right? Or genome?
Genome.
And
Yeah.
genome mix. I feel like
Genomics.
Janelle
Yeah.
gave me these words. What do those terms mean, and why are they important?
Okay, so I think I'll start from a term that we all know, which is genes, right? So that's our DNA. If you look at how they study genes, it's called genetics. I think we all know about that, right? Hopefully, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay, good. Now, when you look at all of the genes in an organism, so if you take a human and you want to study all of the genes in that human, or if we take our cacao, our national bird, and we want to study all of the genes in that cacao, that is now that organism's genome. So that's what it means, is looking at it holistically. And then genomics is the study of different genomes.
Thank you. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just learned French, folks.
So what is the purpose of CariGenetics, and what can we learn from the results of it?
Okay, so the purpose of CariGenetics is to expand capacity of genomics throughout the Caribbean. It's something, like I said, I was privy to with my time in working on the pandemic. As you guys very well probably remember, we had to test the strains of the virus, and that could only be done through genetics sequencing. Most of the region were sending it all to the Carver reference lab because they couldn't do it. I think we had one or two countries that were able to get capacity, but for the most part, wasn't able to do it. And so, I mean, we know that a few other countries like Bermuda had to create a lab to do PCR testing for the first time, which PCR is like genetics 101. Sequencing is like, master's level genetics. So we were like at the very basics. And so what we're trying to do is expand capacity, meaning train locals in Bermuda. We're starting here, but we're going throughout the Caribbean, and we want to train our own to do the research because we have our own best interest at heart. The other thing is that everyone, I'm sure, has heard of 23andMe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, when you do your 23andMe test, you're actually selling your data, your genetic data, to that company, and you no longer have ownership of it at all. So sorry to bust anyone's bubble who done it, but you don't have any more like rights over that data. We want to be different because it's your data, and if we are able to monetize it, because these pharmaceutical companies know that they need our diverse information and are willing to pay for it, we want to put some of that money in your pocket too. So that's what we're trying to do. And as far as the results, for example, we have our first study. I'm not going to say what disease because we're going to launch it on International Women's Day, actually. So we'll have our first human study, but the results will be, or the study will be the first time it's done on a Caribbean population. And what we're trying to do is find specific genetics that are unique to us. And what that would then give us is a new diagnostic test that is for us. We can screen earlier and we can try to catch it. So I'm not just doing research to say, oh, we did a research study and we published a paper and yay, me, and I'm a professor. No, because that's how academia works. That's where I was before. This is about having a real impact. And when we find results, you want to make sure that it's bettering the community right away.
I think the biggest takeaway from this conversation so far is really we are different in our genetic makeup.
Oh yeah.
Treat everyone the same. I mean, it's really that simple, right?
It's really that simple. And on that point, and this is going to blow your mind. So please stay with me. If we look at, so you have something called genetic diversity, right? So it's how we're different. So between me and you two, we are genetically diverse because we came from different parents, right? Anyone that comes from outside of Africa compared to those that come out of Africa are genetically diverse. Now, what's interesting is that Africa, because that's where, humanity started, within the continent of Africa is the highest degrees of genetic diversity on the planet. So you can have someone from Nigeria and someone from Kenya who are genetically further apart than someone from Nigeria and Germany.
Interesting.
So also, those who are in America, African Americans, compared to those in Africa, not the same. Because there's been mixing. They've got European DNA in their ancestry. In the Caribbean, we are the only place in the world that has 8+ different ethnicities in our ancestry. So we are also genetically different to African Americans, and that's a whole different conversation, because that's a whole we always push the African American narrative onto us in the Caribbean, which we're not the same. So that's why we need to study ourselves. And even in between the different islands in the Caribbean, there is genetic diversity. So there's been some work done on between Jamaica and Bahamas on breast cancer, and they're genetically diverse. So we can't treat us all the same, and medicine can no longer be one size fits all. And that is really where this is going, is something called precision medicine, where you are being treated for how you are genetically.
Has anyone told you that you're very passionate about science?
Oh, yeah.
Because your passion is coming through and through. But how does research benefit Bermudians? I know you touched on it a little bit, but go a little bit more in regard to that.
Well, no. We're out of time. I want to skip right to the last question. I want to get to the audience. Where can I know there's we have the website going down bottom, but I know there's this thing that I've seen it with the young lady in the U.S. I forget her name, Orly Foundation with Kent. And I know when these kind of things happen, we continue to hear about funding, right? Yeah. Let's talk about funding. Let's go there. How can people who are interested in getting behind the work that you're doing help when it comes to funding, and how can they get in touch to assist to grow this?
So I'll start with the second one first, since the website is going on the bottom. On our website, if you go to the bottom of the page, you can subscribe to our newsletter, which will come out at the end of February. So please subscribe, and you'll get the latest information on what we're doing in our progress. You can also email us to collaborate or to join in as a volunteer or intern or as an investor. So we are a company, a for-profit company. So we don't take donations, but we are doing an investment round right now. Proud to say we've raised, our first initial amount that was allowing me to hire a full Bermudian team that started at the beginning of this month. And we're still in that capital raise right now. So the best way would be to go on the website, click investor, and then send that in that form through. The other thing, we are on the Bermuda Investor Community website as an official deal. And if anyone's interested in just following how we're doing, you can look on there and see how much we've raised. And if you want to also invest through that platform. What I will say as well is that you probably remember me before doing a charity, the Bermuda Principles Foundation, where I founded that and was doing conferences and school tours. I will not be stopping that. We're actually bringing that under the group of companies. And so that will be our official charity of the group. And when that is officially up and running, then people can donate to that. But at this time, it will be going on the website, subscribing. If you're interested in investment, or someone that might be interested in investing, to send that through, and then to go on the Bermuda Investor Community website.
I got an interesting message that is hilarious, and I don't know if I can share it publicly, but I'm going to anyway.
Okay.
I like this new Carika she's dropping truth gems about the medical industry. It's funny to me because I'm like, I mean, you and I have talked over the years. I'm like, this is who she is. I mean,
this is who I am, right?
I think what it is when people are no longer connected to government, I think people tend to see them differently as well. But when I go to the audience, Carla J says, I love how comfortable Carika is educating us using layman's language. You can tell she has taught before. Great job. Nyla Nailed It says, Dr. Weldon is a Bermudian gem. I love your passion and focus. Tamara, colleague, finds it very interesting. Question from Michael Daniels, though. He asks, does Africa contain the totality of genetics?
That's a really good question. And the answer is no. The reason for that is whenever any population, and this is both human and animals, moves out of a certain environment, there are always changes. I mean, even in your own body, when you were born to now, your body's changed genetically. So there's always going to be changes happening. The heart of it is in Africa, but everyone that has migrated out and all the other different populations are genetically different.
Interesting. Jody Virgil says, this has been a great conversation. Thank you, Dr. Weldon, for your vital work and sharing your knowledge. I want to say this. When you released the first study on International Women's Day, you know, our doors open to come on and discuss that. Definitely.
Say no more.
For sure. Because honestly, I think we love to learn, especially on this show. We love to learn. And I think what you've shared this morning, what you've engaged with us is quite a lot to take in. I said earlier jokingly, you know, I just learned a new language, but you did break it down in the most simplest of terms, and I appreciate it. And I just want to say from us, continue to do the work, and you know, we are behind you. We are here, and I hope that those who know someone who can benefit from the work that you're doing, those who are interested in investing or being a part of it, hopefully they get on board. But thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, as always.
No problem. Dr. Weldon, talk soon.
Bye. Have a good day.
Dr. Carika Weldon, folks, if you appreciated that conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Always great information. Sherry, we're going to come back, wrap that up. But there's so many takeaways, and I'm sure you've got a lot. You were literally like, you were the opposite of me. When I was in school, I was the kid in back throwing stuff at the people in front, right? And y'all up there up front, like. But anyway, we're gonna take a quick break.
It just made sense.
Stick with us, folks.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right. Thanks again to Dr. Carika Weldon for that conversation. You know, I want to say this. The pandemic, there were people who just didn't like people because of their stance or positions they had during the pandemic, or it could have been just their personality people did not like. I will always say this, right? I don't care if I don't like someone. If that person can help me, I'm willing to put things aside.
Yeah.
Right. And regardless of how you feel, politics or whatnot, that conversation just now was something I think we all can take something from. So I'm grateful for Dr. Weldon for that conversation and more that she's willing to have in the future. Thanks again to One Communications, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. for their support and ensuring we can have these conversations. And welcome Angela Deal to our membership. You too can become a member on our YouTube channel. There's different options. You can also contribute if you'd like. You can type a comment. You can donate $1 for the work that we're doing, the conversations we're having on YouTube. So feel free, if you are so, generous that you want to give to us, you can do that. Any donation is greatly appreciated for the work that we are trying to do in the community. That said, you know what time it is. Time for the daily play.
Oh gosh.
Now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Sherry, are you ready?
Yeah, my tears already started, so let's go.
All right, so remember when? Barclay Institute, you better stand up right now because every last one of you should know the answer to this question. It's remember when. Frederick Shirley Furbert was the first Black Bermudian principal of the Barclay Institute. In what year was he appointed?
I think all Barclay Institute people are brainwashed, including my mama, my sister, my auntie, cousins. So I don't know that. I don't know that answer. 1964. Am I close? Wait, my mama was born 1947. So yeah, I don't know.
You don't know. Well, the Barclayites don't know either. They're out there Googling the answer. Right?
Miss Karen, Auntie Karen.
They're all out there Googling the answer. They don't know the answer, Sister Sherry. They don't know the answer.
Marcia. These are Barclayites that I'm calling out. They're not keeping the view in hand.
The view in hand. Oh, I thought it was the end in view. Okay, but
anyway.
Right. Respice for them, right? Respice for them. They pronounce it wrong. They say Raspake or some stuff like that. But Barclayites, you ain't show up this morning. You did not show up. The answer is 1943. 1943.
That was a good one, Jamal.
Yeah, Frederick Shirley Furbert became
1907.
Someone said 1907.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
But anyway, let's keep it moving.
I'm glad they don't know the answer. See, I'm glad they don't know this. We got you, Barclayites. Anyway, final thoughts on today's show. We started with the social media discussion, and then we Rosalind said she was close.
She's like 40 years old.
I love you, Rosalind. All right, so let's we talked about social media discussion, and then we obviously had the conversation with Dr. Carika Weldon. What's your thoughts? Social media.
Social media, again, it depends on your child, your home environment, but parental guidelines and assistance will benefit your children in the long run. So I think you just have to do it. It's maybe an extra step that needs to be done, but to prevent our children being in kind of some social media mess all the way around, it's very important to start it early. Dr. Weldon, where do I start? I learned how to pronounce some words. I learned that genetics and what is ours. We need to remember when taking medications, are they for us, Jamal, or not? That within itself was mind-blowing. I saw something about that on TV earlier this week, and to hear her discuss it just is mind-blowing. So definitely support her and CariGenetics and their research, because at the end of the day, and I think Jamal talks about this all the time, it ends up benefiting us as well, to support these causes so that we can be in the best medical standing that we can.
Yeah, I think as far as social media discussion this morning, I just think we, as Dr. Weldon said, regarding how we can't treat everything the same, everyone the same. And I think, when it comes to saying 13-year-olds are too young to be on social media, that may be the case. I'm no expert, but not all 13-year-olds on the same level. So I think it depends on environment. Education plays a role. So I just, it's tough. Maybe there need to be tighter guidelines to protect young people, but I just think environment is key. As far as Dr. Weldon, again, I appreciate her taking the time to have this conversation. I understood nothing about this. This is not my area of expertise. Well, I don't have one actually, but I'm always intrigued to learn. And I think we got a lesson this morning. And she didn't talk down to us. She engaged us. She engaged us. And as Carla Jones said, she spoke in layman terms. That's the best way to educate people. So I'm grateful for the work she's doing. I'm hopeful that more people will get on board and understand how important this work is for all of us. So Sherry, you've got some daily inspiration for us?
Yes, your peace is more important than driving yourself crazy trying to understand why something happened the way it did. So let it go. And that's from an unknown author.
Oh, let it go.
Let it go.
All right, folks, there is no live show tomorrow. We will be back on Thursday. So keep that in mind. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you. We love it. We thank you for making this part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you live on Thursday. All right. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Rosalind Famous said she was close.